Hello, church. I hope you're having a great day. You know, when I was in high school, I had a friend whose grandfather had the strangest ritual for breaking in a new truck. He was a rancher, and in ranches in West Texas, out in San Angelo, your ranch roads get overgrown very quickly with mesquite trees and prickly pear and all that stuff. And mesquite thorns do a number on a paint job. And if you are one of those people who drives around a pasture with mesquite trees, you know what I'm talking about. Well, my friend, his grandfather, didn't like that period of ownership where you're worried about your truck and you're worried about every little ding and every little scratch on the paint and all of that kind of stuff. And he had worked and lived on his ranch long enough. He knew it was all inevitably going to be destroyed by those mesquite tree thorns. So when he would buy a new truck, he would go out the first day and just drive with abandon across his pasture and get those sides just down the side, and on the roof and all this stuff, so that his truck looked like it had already taken a couple of years of wear by the end of the first day. Now, as a kid, I thought, that is nuts. Why would you want those thorns scratching up the paint job so badly? I mean, my pickup truck at the time was an International Harvester, and it had already had like a decade of beating up and wear on, no, a decade and a half of beat up and wear on it. So I didn't even know what having a new truck with new paint was like, but I dreamed. And what I dreamed was that I would take better care of it than the highway department had taken care of my International Harvester. So I thought his grandfather was just absolutely bonkers. Then I read as an adult 2 Corinthians chapter 12, starting in verse 8, where Paul says, "In order to keep me from being conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord, 'Take it away from me.' But he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me.'" Now, when I read that, I see my friend's grandfather's pickup truck. See, the reason that he would do that is he explained that he couldn't do the work he needed to do on the ranch if he was worried about the paint. But if he would just go ahead and get those dings and get those scratches, well, then he could work free, carefree, and not worried at all about this brand new truck. And he could enjoy the truck more and get more work done in the truck because he wasn't worried about perfection. Do you think God could be telling us the same thing? Could Paul have been sharing about his thorn, which was probably not a mesquite tree, but if he was born in West Texas, it would have been? Do you think that maybe he was trying to get across to us that we shouldn't be so worried about being dinged up and scratched up? We were never going to remain perfect anyway. It was inevitable. We're human. And instead of being worried about whether or not God can use us, instead of being worried about whether or not our circumstances are perfect, or our personality is perfect, or our skills are perfect, maybe we should understand that when God sees us, he sees a scratched up pickup truck on a ranch, which is not scratched up and damaged, but scratched up and useful. He can use us in ways where he can be more carefree, and we can be more carefree, because our pride and our paint job isn't getting in the way. We can simply do the Lord's work because we're not worried about what people think we look like, what we sound like, what we come across as. We are only concerned with being useful in the Lord's hands. And even our dings and scratches make us more useful in God's ranch. So, don't worry about your dings. Don't worry about your scratches. God's grace is sufficient for you, and his power is actually made perfect in the fact that he doesn't have to worry about your paint job anymore, and he can just use you, humbly use you. God bless you. Be useful in the kingdom of God, and have a great night.